in Mark Terrestruck, assistant coach, and his St. Vital Junior Victorious home game here tonight for the second week this year in the MMJHL regular season against the Raiders of the Hockey Club at 7:30. Mark, thanks for taking the time and joining me on the show. We had a chance to kind of talk before we started off here, and you said it was your first year as an assistant coach in this league on Tyler Anderson's staff last year. The two of you have played hockey before. Give me some background in terms of you and Tyler's relationship.
Yeah. First of all, thanks for having me. So Tyler and I played together. I've known Tyler since we played together basically since we were 6 years old, played against each other. And then when we were, 14, we played together, played provincial. And then I went to the Western League for a couple of years. And then we met back in Steinbach at our 19-year-old year. Lived together out in Steinbach. We billeted, and then he went off to college to St. Cloud for his 20-year-old year, and I stayed in Steinbach. And he texted me a couple Julys ago and asked if I was interested, and I thought it'd be a great opportunity to spend more time with him and kind of give back to the game. That's done a lot for me.
Yeah, and cool you're getting to, continue that journey with Tyler, of course, and yourself coaching this team now. What's the experience been like, transitioning over from coaching or from the playing side to the coaching side of things?
It's different. It's when you're playing, it's a lot more physically demanding. Coaching is mentally demanding. It's good though. It's a good challenge. The schedule is really flexible, which helps not only us coaches with our careers, and then the players going to school too. So far coaching's been really good. I think you're learning how to coach certain individuals, and not everybody has the same drive or the same motivation. So it's all about finding and what makes that player tick, and how you get the most out of that in order to build a cohesive unit and then transition that onto the ice.
This is a coaching staff that's in its second year now, you along with Tyler and the rest of the crew. Getting to coach a group that is very experienced, a group that made it to the finals 2 seasons ago. First round exit last season, of course. I assume that was tough to swallow because there were so many times where this team was up in that Game 7 against Charleswood. But from yourself personally, from that first year as being an assistant coach, you already talked about the differences from coaching the player-wise. But what do you take away from that whole experience, even though, it was a pretty heartbreaking one?
It's a learning experience. Every time you step on the ice, every time there's a play made, a mistake's made, you've got to learn to get better. And I think coming into this year, I think the guys understood that Game 7 first round exit was not acceptable. It's unfortunate that the way the game played out, it was kind of a coach's worst nightmare. You go up 4-2, and then all of a sudden it's 4-4, 5-4, 5-5, 6-5, 7-6. We lose the game. So that was frustrating. But I think coming into this year, I think guys got a little bit more fire in their belly, and the summer was a little bit too long. We had a really good camp. We had a lot of bodies this year, which was good and bad from our standpoint. We've got a lot of difficult decisions to make, but there's some guys that came into camp this year, and we didn't expect much of them, and all of a sudden they're in our opening night roster, and it's rewarding as a coach to see. You see those guys that they're putting the work in, they're putting the time and effort in, and therefore we are able to reward them because they're playing so well and giving it everything they have every night.
Yeah, and that was something that, Tyler Rubini, this year's team captain, kind of echoed to me on last week's edition of the show. He gets named captain, taking over from Denny Gagnon. Great moment, saw it on social media, him passing the torch over to him. But Tyler, very much a business-like mindset this year, a mindset that he's really going to do whatever it takes to put himself in those positions and his teammates in those positions to win. So, given his mentality and everything that comes with Tyler Rubini's game, him being an absolute killer out there on the ice, was it a pretty easy decision for this coaching staff to name him as team captain this year?
As honestly, yes. The answer is yes. But there's a lot of good leaders in that room. So, what Tyler and I have done in the past is we'll ask the players to vote, and we want to see what's inside the dressing room and who is respecting other individuals. And I think that it says a lot about not only the individuals that have the letter on them, but it also says what the team thinks about them. So I think
Rubes is going to be and will be an absolutely unbelievable captain. Just because he wears the C, it doesn't mean that there aren't guys like Brady Jaquette, Dayton Kiesman, and Nutty that didn't deserve to wear that C. And there was a handful of guys that received votes that don't have a letter. So I think that just goes to show the leadership and the maturity in our group. And from a coach, that's all you can ask for. If you have guys that get 10, 12 votes, it's unbelievable.
No, for sure. A lot of great leaders on this team, a veteran-heavy team this season that added some good young players to the mix, went out and got guys like Blake Goretzky, adding Ethan Penner and net. Talk about what the field's been like this year to start things out early on in this process with this year's roster.
It's been good. I think, as every new season approaches, you have your roller coasters of okay, this practice wasn't great, but that game was good. And as soon as you start bringing in new players into the mix, that changes the dynamic of your team. But you're right, Pence came in, and he's looked great so far. And Gretzky came in as well, and he's going to be a horse in the back end for us this year. Got a lot of skill, can move the puck, really nice skater. He's a guy that's going to be able to play in all certain positions. I think our back end is extremely strong this year. Seth Lady coming into the league last year, he moves into a bigger role this year. I think there's more room for growth out of all those individuals. And then you got Dayton Kiesman, Brady Jaquette, to kind of round out the back end. I think it's gonna be a really good year.
Obviously every team wants to get off to a hot start. It was looking like it, of course, with a 1-0 record. Then going back down to earth a bit against a team in River East that, of course, motivated to start off this year to prove people wrong after last season trying to make it back to the playoffs. But, what have you seen from the boys from a coaching perspective to start off the year in terms of, you liking how this team's playing so far?
Yeah, I think it's early. I think Sunday, River East came out hungry. And I don't necessarily know if we were expecting that. They were a team that didn't make playoffs last year, so they had something to prove. And when you're a team that has lots to prove, you come out hungry every night. The teams that finished above you, it's not uncommon that you might sit back a little bit. Right. And not to say take them easy, but almost take them a little bit easy. And I think that's where we got caught Sunday.
Yeah.
River East played hard, and I think that really bit us in the butt. So we had a good practice last night, good tempo, but it's game 2. It's a 45-game regular season, so you can only have so much preparation and exhibition, and I think we're noticing it even in the NHL nowadays. Like there's big discussion that there's too many exhibition games. Not to say there's too many in our league, but it's a huge step up from exhibition. Then you get into your practice feed, and then you get into regular season. It's a different animal. I thought game 1 in the Twins, we were in a bit of a track meet. It was a fast-paced game, and I think special teams was a big part of that. And then in River East on Sunday night, I think we didn't have our legs under us early, and then we never really found it.
You mentioned learning experiences. We always mention learning experiences here on the network, but kind of nice in a way to have that early season learning experience of, no matter where each team is in the standings or where they finished last year, like River East, like you said, they're going to come out hard and give this team a test. How does that, I guess, benefit this team moving forward, even though it's early in the season?
I think you're exactly right. It's going to benefit this team. And, I'd rather have a game like we had Sunday in game 2 of the season than game 45. Right. Because there's lots of new bodies, there's lots of systems, there's lots of defensive zone face-offs, offensive zone face-offs, neutral zone forechecks. There's lots to incorporate, and we've only kind of had a handful of practices, so there's a lot of information going at the guys right now. Yeah. And, to only have 2 games so far, it's going to happen. And you're going to have guys that have their off night. It's human nature. When I played, I knew basically my first shift if I was going to have a good night or not. Right. Confidence is a huge thing, and we got a lot of young guys coming in the lineup. And I tell them, do plays or make plays that make yourself uncomfortable, because that's where you're going to grow your confidence. And practice, do something that makes you uncomfortable. But going back to it, I think it's okay, to have a 1-1 record coming into tonight, game 3 on a Thursday. We're going to run through a bit of the gauntlet here this weekend with the Thursday, Friday, Sunday game. But it's good. I think let's get our feet wet. Let's dive head first into the shallow end here, and let's get it going.
Yeah, and the Raiders Junior Hockey Club coming into St. Vital tonight to play this victorious team. A team from what we saw last year and from years prior gives this St. Vital club some issues for one reason or another. Talk about, I guess, from what you've seen from last year and I guess what you're expecting heading into tonight that makes this Raiders Junior Hockey Club team so hard to play against.
They're a good team. Last year we struggled for sure. I think our slow starts really hurt us. They got a good back end that can defend really well. They got good netminder, and they forecheck hard. So it's tough coming out of our own zone. So when you have teams that do that, you want to focus on your transition game, where you're not necessarily going D to D behind the net. You're button hooking and you fly up the wall. And let's get headed north as soon as possible. I think it's a great test for us. I think we only won one game against them last year. So to already be behind the 8 ball as a last year, it's a great fresh start for our club. And I think the boys are looking forward to tonight, and then it's going to carry on into the weekend.
Like you said, this team playing 3 games in 4 days this weekend. Usually gets the Friday off, but not this week in the league. Talk about, early season. There's going to be a lot of games played this upcoming week, and I guess what is this coaching staff looking for? Just the continuation of the improvements early in their game?
I think it's consistency. We didn't practice Monday, didn't practice Tuesday, then we go Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, have Saturday off, and then we'll go Sunday afternoon. So it's a quick turnaround. So for the younger guys, it's about keeping your legs under you, and for the older guys, it's about taking that consistency that we had last year, towards the end of the season, and you build that into this. So when the younger guys come in the lineup, they see that at 3 and 4, it's nothing crazy.
Right.
It's manageable. But you play smart Thursday night, and you play smart and safe. And then Friday, you see how you go, but it's all about consistency and getting better game after game. Then by Sunday, game 5 of the regular season, I hope, we're going to break this season down into 5 segments. And I think at the end of 5 segments, if we can come out, 4-1 or 3-2 kind of thing, you got to break that season down. And I think this weekend in particular is a great way to get this segment wrapped up.
No doubt about it, and we're excited to see what this Vix team can do tonight in their first matchup of the season against the Raiders Junior Hockey Club. Coming up, puck drop at 7:30 p.m. here on G-Show Productions on gshow.ca from the Centennial at St. Vital Arena. Mark Taraschuk, assistant coach in his second year with the St. Vital Junior Victorias, along with Tyler Anderson and the staff, joining the show here first from his team's home barn on episode 4, season 2. Mark, best of luck tonight, and thanks for joining me on this edition of the show.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
We're going to take a quick break here, and we'll be back with some highlights and some power rankings for the first time this year here on the MMJHL Podcast, Season 2, Episode 4. Right on. Welcome back to the Manitoba Major Junior Hockey League podcast for episode 4 in season 2, brought to you by Terraco, Mid-Canton Fasteners and Tools, Goaltenders, and Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia. Mark Taraschuk, assistant coach of the St. Vital Junior Victorias, joined me to start things off here on tonight's edition of the show. We're going to have Evan Benira, goaltender for the Raiders Junior Hockey Club, joining me up next soon here. But as for these two teams, we had a chance to cover their first games of the season last week on the network. It started off with this year's MMJHL season opener, which was here at St. Vital Centennial Arena last Thursday as the Victorias took on the Fort Garry Twins. And as for how that game went, started off with the Vics up 1-0 for Fort Garry. They would end up tying things up, but St. Vital, their special teams, just a bit too good in this one. As it would start off with the top line for the Vics in this first period. Netchwadook sending it over to Aiden Anderson as the Victorias would go up by 1-0. But later on in the first period, the Fort Garry Twins would be pressing around the Victorias' net and banging away at a loose puck. Finding it would be Sloan for this Twins team, as it would be tied at 1 apiece. But then later on in the second period, the Victorias getting some power play opportunities, working this puck from down low all the way up high. A little nice work from Netchwadook. Kiesman, along with Tyler Rubini, going to the slot as we see them working it side to side, up top again, back to Netchwadook, and Rubini would find a stick on that one to tip it home, as the Victorias would score 3 straight on the man advantage, winning this one by a score of 5-4. In St. Vital, so we take a look at the Raiders Junior Hockey Club game up next, is they were at home in their home opener last week to take on the the Fort Garry Twins, the Stonewall Jets. And for Stonewall, they hadn't won an opening season game in about a year, as they had lost their season opener the year before. But Pat Power, with his coaching group, his coaching staff, having higher hopes this season, and the Raiders hoping to make it back into the playoffs, of course. We start things off in the first period of this one, where around the net, goaltender Dylan LeClaire and his defenseman behind the net would misplay this. It would end up in the crease, and scoring it, putting it home, would be Lucas D'Souza. Later on, though, Stonewall getting in up on the attack. They go backdoor as number 11, Alex Kaczorowski, finds Rylan Slatcher to tie this one up at 1 apiece. But later on in the third period, Stonewall already up by 1. Peyton Bateman ends up finding the back of the net, somehow past Owen Savoy. But the Raiders would keep pressing. D'Souza again down low, ends up getting this puck onto the stick to Brody Melstead, and they go bang bang. All of a sudden, this is interesting late in the third period, but Alex Kaczorowski doing what he did all game, which was making plays, pickpockets the Raiders defenseman, goes in on Savoy and beats him low. It would be the Jets who would hold on to the 2-goal lead late in that game to secure a victory 4-2. And of course, for the Stonewall Jets, they would end up winning in overtime against the Transcona Railer Express on Sunday to move to 2-0. As for the Raiders Junior Hockey Club, they would lose in OT, so in another close one, to the Pembina Valley Twisters, as the finalists from last year get their first win of the season. And yeah, as for, our power rankings of how week 1 went, well, it's complete opposites, as last year the Canucks finished first place and the Knights finished dead last in the league. Well, in our power rankings, this is based on how teams do week to week, and for the Royal Knights, they score the most goals for. They start off 2-0. They're among 4 of the 2-0 teams to start things off. Charleswood, 8 goals for, 2 goals against to start things off. The Riels shutting out the Canucks on Sunday. I felt like the Hawks played an overall better 2 games. They never trailed in one of them, I believe. And for the Stonewall Jets, 2 closer wins compared to the Riels in their second one, as they would end up shutting out, putting some distance between them and the Junior Canucks. The Victorias, they won a game, lost a game. I thought that overall the results in their victory better, more convincing than the Twisters had. The Railer Express, this is a team that lost 2 close games. I know the Raiders did as well, but I know for the Railers, at times they dictated the shots in their games as well. And the winless teams ending up in the bottom 2 to start things off. For Gary, they were in this game last week against St. Vital, and then the wheels fell off. They made things interesting close against Charleswood at the end, only losing 3-2. But 0-2, they start off in 9th. And for the Canucks, for the simple reason, the fact that they don't have a goal for yet, they're also quite a struggle on the power play so far. Of course, not having any goals, going 0%. The Raiders are also 0% on the power play and have a league worst penalty kill right now at 57.1%. Speaking of the Raiders Junior Hockey Club, we got Evan Benera joining the show right now. We're going to take a quick break as we get Evan set up here on the MMJHL Podcast for Episode 4, Season 2 here. G-Show Productions brought to you by McCann Fasteners and Tools Terrico, Goaltenders, and Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia. Hey, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
So I'm going to get you to put this on. You can wear it either way, whatever feels more comfortable for you. So is your first year with the team last year?
Yeah.
Right on. I'm just going to pull up your stats here, so I have some stuff to go on.
This year's stats or last year?
Or just looking at your profile in general. Here, yeah. Alrighty. Welcome back to the Manitoba Major Junior Hockey League podcast. We got our second guest of the show joining us now, number 30, second-year goaltender in the league, and Evan Benera. Evan, so far you've had a chance to play one game this season, playing in that Sunday loss against the Pembina Valley Twisters. This team has lost 2 close games to start off the year. How are the boys feeling heading into a matchup tonight, a big one early on in the season against St. Vital?
They're feeling good. They're excited to get going here. We're in need of a win here to get going for the season here. But it's a new team here. We're just developing some guys here and bringing in a bunch of new kids. So we're first little bit's a bit of a learning curve for some guys here. But as we go on, hopefully we strengthen up there and get going on some games.
Of course, as mentioned, it was your first season in the league last year. A part of a team, you got to play over 20 games, but a team that makes it into the playoffs lost in a sweep in that first round to the Pembina Valley Twisters, but all games were pretty close. You weren't the starter in those playoffs, but just from your whole experience, take me through how that first year truly was for you.
It was awesome. It was good fun. It was awesome coming into the league. It's especially doing school now and work and all that. It gives you time to enjoy still playing hockey, still playing the game, but also focusing on your kind of life path there and working and going to school there. And it's just great being around the guys all the time, still being part of a team and having a good time out there.
Where were you before making it to the MMJHL? Were you playing in high school, AAA? Where were you?
I was playing AAA for a few years, and my last year in grade 12 there, I chose to go play high school, have some more fun with hockey there, and we had a good high school year. We won the championship there, so it was a fun time.
Right on, yeah, that's always fun. And was that for Garden City?
Yeah.
The championship? There, yeah. Gordy Tummelson then?
I do, yeah.
Yeah, right on. I know that he spoke because we actually talked quite a bit the year before on G-Show Productions on a different podcast that was actually named Goaltenders, and it was specifically with Gordy. But, what was that like getting a steady goalie coach to help you boys through that year of high school hockey?
Oh, it's always awesome having a guy out there, even if you don't always need something, just having the guy out there, always keeping your head straight, keeping your mind focused on the right path there, and just always having a guy around helps out.
Also helps when you're able to have a positive, healthy goalie room. I assume that's the case with you and Owen Savoy. What's it been like getting to play with him, but also getting to learn from him as well?
He's a great guy. I love playing with him. Could have asked for a better goalie partner right now, but it's good learning from him. go back and forth, splitting games. We both build off each other. It's good competition at the same time. It's a good experience with them, having a good goal player like that.
Is that something that you had experienced beforehand, splitting games with goaltenders, or has it kind of always been your net before?
Yeah, pretty much my whole career, it's been splitting games. No matter where I've been, so.
Yeah, right on. I think, I guess what does that say about you at that same time that, you have that experience of playing in multiple games in a year with your goaltending partner, and knowing that either one of you can be ready to go at either point, knowing that each one of you have gotten the same amount of work, basically?
It's when you're rotating the goalies, you're always having them both ready, always having both the games played, so I think it's a good thing, switching out, getting both guys in there, not trying to ride one all the time. Just having the guys ready to go is good.
You had mentioned that this year this team has some new players coming in, some good returning players as well. How would you describe this year's Raiders Junior Hockey Club team in terms of what the folks from home should be expecting to see all season long?
Should be expecting physical, hard game from the Raiders there, as always. We'll see how it goes. It's tough to say early on, but we're going to keep playing our physical game as we always play.
Are you going to be getting the start on the pipes tonight?
I will be starting tonight, yeah.
Right on. St. Vital, always a fun test, I feel like, for this team, a team that you boys have had a lot of success against dating back to last season. I asked assistant coach in Mark Tresiak about what makes it so tough to play against the Raiders. How do you feel this team matches up so well with the junior Victorias, and what challenges do they pose to you guys?
From last year, we always, when we were playing them, we felt like we had to bring our A game, and we were always ready to go, hard to play. But this year, it's a different year, different teams. They're coming in 1-1. It's tough to say where they're sitting at, so it's hard to evaluate this early on.
Yeah, and I know it is early on, of course. The wins are going to come at some point, but through 2 games, this team lost 2 close ones, looking to get into the win column. Has there been any change in terms of the motivation in the room, or are things staying even keel here, this team staying calm?
I think things are staying pretty even here. The team's still relaxed, ready to go, just not getting too worked up about the early losses there. So.
And I gotta send you off with this one, Evan. For those of the viewers that are tuning in tonight, you're getting the start. What can they expect out of your playing style out there as a goaltender?
I expect a hard game, save everything. That's my goal, save everything.
To quote the great Gordy Tumelson, stop the puck and have fun. Hoping that you'll be having a lot of fun tonight along with the Raiders Junior Hockey Club. Evan, thanks for taking the time and joining me here on the show. And like I said, best of luck tonight.
Thank you.
We'll take a quick transition, a quick break here, and I'll be back to end things off here on episode 4 of season 2 of the MM Podcast. Welcome back into the Manitoba Major Junior Hockey League podcast here on gshow.ca on gshow Productions. Evan Benera just joining me here on the show, getting the start tonight for his Raiders Junior Hockey Club. It's just noticing we are crapping out with our connection here, kinda. Just gotta wait for it to respond back. There we go. All right. So yeah, Evan Benera and his Raiders Junior Hockey Club, of course, looking for better results tonight early on in the season, of course, but yeah, kind of a tough start to the season when you start off with 2 losses, but 43 games left to be played. And as for, the points leaders, the goals leaders, starting off with Peyton Bateman. He leads the whole league with 4 to start off, and then we got a 3-way tie from 2nd to 4th. Logan Ash, rookie, really making an impact early on here in the year. Then we got Sir Urcioli, who leads the league in assists right now. Ruben Brzezinski, Shodanov, and Netwaduk all tied at 3, as you can see there. And then we move on to the points leaders and goalie leaders outright. We went with save percentages for the goaltenders. Peyton Bateman, Logan Ash, Penner, Reynolds, all tied for that lead in points through 2 games. And Urcioli at 4 points there for himself, sitting 1 point behind the points lead. As for the goalie leaders, based off a save percentage, Gordon, excellent start to his season, a .977 save percentage. Ethan Penner, who we saw last week, not sure if he's getting the start tonight, forgot to ask Mark about that, but a .972 save percentage in the 1 game that he's played so far in that win last Thursday night. Michael O'Sullivan, 2 games played, a .955 save percentage. Penner, rookie goaltender for the Twisters. No matter who it is in that net, it seems like they always get called. Last week in Seven Oaks Sportsplex. And yeah, just to correct myself, this team, Penner, not a rookie for the St. Vital Junior Victoria squad, as he played some games a few years back with this team 2 years ago, and his numbers were pretty darn good at that, gotta say, in those 9 games. The best of his junior career, but we're going to end things off earlier because our connection seems to be crapping out. Tonight's game against the St. Vital Junior Victorias and the Raiders Junior Hockey Club. The Raiders, I believe, won the season series against St. Vital last year, a team that always seemed to give St. Vital troubles, a team that 2 seasons ago, or I guess 3 seasons ago now, the year that St. Vital, the year before they made it to the finals, lost in, I think, 6 or 7 games to the Raiders. So this is a team that's kind of had their number recently, in recent history, that is, and a team that always plays hard, a team with a really good counterattack. We saw that last week. And a team where, for the St. Vital Junior Victorias, they really struggle with against in the defensive zone at times last season. Tyler Rubin said this about St. Vital. Says that last year he felt like the energy, the mindset wasn't always there. Well, when they put their minds to it and really put in their A game, as they did going on, getting stronger in that game against Fort Garry last week, we see how good this team can be, and there were improvements in that defensive zone, right? Even though their goaltender still have to make the big saves, you're going to get that still, no matter what. Your goaltender making the big saves, if he can do that, that's great for you. But you got to have consistency, like Mark said. And can this team find consistency again in their defensive zone against the Raiders Junior Hockey Club team tonight, where their forecheck is going to be aggressive? We saw that last week from them. As for, I guess the advantages St. Vital has would be on the special teams. Does that look to continue, as they're 25% on the power play, 100% on the penalty kill to start off the season, as opposed to the Raiders Junior Hockey Club, where they're 0% on the power play and are 57.1% on the penalty kill, league worst right now. So how does special teams play into tonight's game? How does that play a role? And how does St. Vital dictate if they can on special teams, on the power play and on the penalty kill, and how do the Raiders improve there? The keys to the game from St. Vital tonight, I'd say, as we're going to talk about this in the pregame show as well, but I'd say the keys to the game, like Mark said, are going to be consistency in your defensive end of the ice, most notably. This team got outshot against Fort Garry last week here in their home opener, so limiting the shots and finding ways to transition out and get more offensive zone time established, I think, would be huge for this squad tonight, and continue to have the advantage on special teams. That was huge in their win last week against the Fort Garry Twins. expect that again tonight for St. Vital if they want to have success against the Raiders Junior Hockey Club, who has not been very good on special teams, and continue to get the big saves from Ethan Gordon or Mason Tebeck, whoever it may be, because there's going to be breakdowns. There could be tonight, and the Raiders are going to get their chances on that counterattack. As for the Raiders, rely on your counterattack, but also find ways to stay calm and confident in your own end. Stay structured and try to take away that middle from St. Vital. Force them to, if they're going to shoot the puck a lot, force them to shoot it from the outside, take away that middle so it's more quantity over quality at the end of the day. As for the Raiders, keep up your structural game overall. I mean, this team has averaged 28 shots against only 26 shots for, maybe looking for more shots, but relying on your top end guys tonight, like Nate Goodbranson, right, like the Brody Melsteds, Ashton Henry on that second line. It's going to be huge because you're most likely going to need more than one line to beat this victorious team. And as for special teams, you got to get that going, but you got to continue to get big saves. And can Evan Benier be up to the test tonight? It sure will be interesting to see. We're 6:43 here from St. Vital Centennial Arena. We're almost a half an hour away from the game here soon, 45 minutes about that. We're going to end things off here now as this U9 evaluation game continues in the background. Thank you for tuning in tonight if you did. Stay tuned. We're going to have our pregame show live here from St. Vital Centennial Arena coming up at 7:20 p.m. Central Time. Thank you to Evan Benier as well as Mark Tresiak for coming on this edition of the show just to get his name right. Sorry. Taraschuk, that is. My apologies to you, Mark. But thank you to him as well as Evan Benier for coming on the show. Thank you to McCann Fasteners and Tools, Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia, as well as McCann Fasteners and Tools and Goaltenders for sponsoring another edition of the MMJHL Podcast. We'll be back here live again from St. Vital Centennial Arena, either pregame or postgame after next Thursday's matchup between them. Stay up to date with our full broadcast schedule, podcast, and live game broadcast on gshow.ca. And stay tuned for details about the upcoming episode for next week, coming up at the start of next week, hopefully. On our website at the very least, and then on our social media pages. But I've been your host, Graham, the G Show Forsyth, giving you the salute, waving goodbye, and saying so long from St. Vital Centennial Arena. We'll see you back here in about 45 minutes or so, or around there, for the Vicks and Raiders MMJHL Game Day broadcast. Take care, everybody. See you in episode 5.